amazing piece of architecture behind me and engineering is the Falkirk Wheel. Opened in 2002 as part of the Millennium Link project, which was about reopening Scotland's lowland canals and reopening 110 kilometres of canals that in the 1960s had lost its way, was forgotten and unloved. And communities rose up and said that's unacceptable. They wanted something, and they wanted something that would celebrate the 21st century and beyond. And I think the Falkirk Wheel does that.
What does it actually do? It sort of lifts and lowers boats, is that right?
Yeah, it's really simple, really simple. We have a canal up the hill and we have a canal at the bottom of the hill. We have 35 metres between them. And the Falkirk Wheel simply turns and rotates and lifts those boats from one level to the other. And it works on Archimedes' principle. That moment he jumped out the bath, that moment of absolute genius where he realised that anything that floats in water displaces its own weight in water. And basically that's what the Falkirk Wheel works on. That's the real core to its efficiency. And it works on the power of 6 kettles. It costs 50p to turn 1,800 tonnes of steel and water and lift boats into the sky so that they can travel safely between Glasgow and Edinburgh.
One of the things we've looked at in the future of kind of where we're going is, water transport. We did it hundreds of years ago. We canned it. We took to the roads, we took to the rails. Do you feel that water could be part of the solution in helping to reduce our transport footprint?
I think water can, and I think the canals have proved this in many ways, that it can't be everything, because it can never be as comprehensive as a rail or a road network, but it certainly can be part of the solutions. And we've moved a lot of freight onto the water at places like on the Crinan Canal. We've looked at it on the Caledonian Canal. There's no doubt it's got an opportunity, but I suppose even more important is the active travel that happens on these canals. We always reopened them thinking that we were building them for boats and for navigation, but actually the greatest success has been the towpaths. 20 million visits out there, active travel, people using it for leisure, but also importantly people commuting from their home to their work using this beautiful off-road canal network.
What do you see your role as an organisation in this journey to net zero? Here we are, a few miles away from Glasgow, COP's going on. I know you've got some presence at COP, you're involved. As an organisation, what do you want to do?
I think as an organisation and as part of Scottish Government, we are a very small organisation but with great ambition and great innovation and great engineering. And when you stand something like the Falkirk Wheel and you think about it, and it has been an exemplar of what can be done. It shows that you can move things, you can create attractions and really environmentally efficiently. This is the world's most environmental boat lift. We've also worked on transforming these canals and getting people out there, the health benefits, the carbon reduction in the health or the illnesses that may have come, but also regeneration, creating communities about forgotten assets. These were about to be abandoned and lost. They are £2.5 billion to rebuild these canals. It's a massive asset, and there's plenty more like that. Not just talking about canals, but there's loads of infrastructure that people have built out there over the years that we've forgotten about. We need to dust some of it off. We need to think about how it works for the 21st century, and we need to think around about all that embodied energy that's come from the last 250 years that's out there. How can we reuse these things? How can we repurpose them? And how can we make sure that they are here for the next 200 years?
One of the things I suppose would be thrown is you've got boats and they use diesel and they chuck things out. Now, we're not quite there where we've got hydrogen and electric boats. How do you see that process of decarbonisation of the actual traffic on your canals going?
I think that's a challenge, there's no doubt. So it goes back to that thing around there's embodied energy in those boats and they've already got their diesel engines, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't drive forward and think around and about what can we do with electric motors and electric engines. The technology is getting really close, and I'm really keen to work with partners here at the Falkirk Wheel to find ways. We've got this 100-person boats here that take people on a trip on the Falkirk Wheel. My ambition is to find a way of making those carbon neutral. We're looking at those transition fuels like HVO, but we're also thinking around and about what can we do, how can we create those exemplars, and how can we work with government and the boaters to gradually transform all of those diesel boats to electric or hydrogen and get this to being the best exemplar in Scotland of carbon neutral and that drive and ambition to get to net zero.
My last question is, this is I can see the people here, local people here. You've got a fun fair, little place for kids. You've got tourist attractions. There's a community thing here going on. Do you believe that as businesses, and we're all about businesses leading the transition, so better business, better planet is our mantra, that businesses can start to influence consumers to live a sort of cleaner, lower carbon life? Because if you start to see this stuff and you say people are walking, do you feel that as is happening?
I think it has to happen, doesn't it? And I think people are leading it. And I think COP is sort of almost a moment in time where it's a wake up. And you can see people changing or at least thinking about what their carbon footprint is, thinking about what they purchase, and beginning to think deeply around about how they want to live their life and what that means for the future of their children. So I think business has to be at the heart of this. There is no doubt. Business needs to be able to market on its carbon footprint. It needs to be able to sell that to people. And I think you see businesses beginning to think long and hard around about how they do that. And I think people will need to challenge it, because there will be a degree of greenwashing, and we need to make sure that businesses have the integrity and have the quality and the openness so that we can see what their carbon footprint is. Here at the Falkirk Wheel, we are into that conversation. We are working on making sure that our marketing is expressing what your experience is, what the cost of the carbon of your experience is. We're putting in the electric vehicle chargers. We're thinking long and hard about the oils that we use, the resources that we use, and making sure that we're at the very heart of the revolution, the carbon revolution that's happening around and about us.
Well, it's a beautiful place. Thanks for inviting us here. It's fantastic. Thanks for joining us on Future Net Zero.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.